नमस्कार सभी को। आज का टॉपिक है मैकेनिज्म, अंडरस्टैंडिंग मैकेनिज्म डिज़ाइन अवेकनिंग, या तंत्र रचना को समझना और उसको हम कैसे यूज़ कर सकते हैं। द फर्स्ट स्टेप इज़ टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ इकोनॉमिक्स इज़ रिलेटेड to mechanism design and why we are giving this importance to mechanism design. So as a basic thing, basic part is like economics is a study of relationship between man and things. That relationship that exists is what we study in economics, and that is where how we study economic systems. We study development economics, microeconomics, macroeconomics, studying only the relationship between man and the thing in different ways. Within while studying these economic systems, there is a subject like a game theory where we try to study the game which is played by different participants, different players, and they interact with each other, and through their interaction there is some outcomes that each will get, and we study the game which is already given to us, and we study the how the participants will act. There are different type of within game theory there are different kind of games. There's finite game, infinite games, continuous games, and this business dilemma. We have so many examples of seeing like how we see the interaction of different players, how the outcome will be provided to them, and how the outcome influence the actions of the players so that go towards achieving their goals by applying their strategies. Now the mechanism design is basically a subject within game theory, or basically a more subject in economics, where we design the games. So we design the whole game in a way. We design the outcomes, we design the rewards for each players. We decide how many players will be there, what would be their strategies, and we let the players play the game and interact with each other and give us the outcome. So this is what the mechanism design is. And next we're gonna go towards understanding how the mechanism design looks like in a presentation in a textbooks. From the books, mechanism, it's a field. Mechanism design is a field in economics and game theory that takes an objective first approach to design the economic mechanism or incentives towards desired outcomes. It basically a reverse of game theory, where you decide a designer of the game chooses the game structure rather than inheriting one, which we get inherited in the game, and then designer decides the game's outcome for him. He's interested in what is the final outcome for himself. In short, it is a process of designing a system to implement a desired outcome. So it is a complex and challenging task, but it is essential for creating systems that are efficient, fair, and effective. Different components of mechanism design. There is an objective. What are the goals of the system that you are trying to create? What are the constraints? What are the resources available to them? Is there any legal or ethical constraints? Participants, who are the participants in the system? Information, what information is available to the participants? So this is something a designer decides how much information he wanted to provide to a participant so that they work accordingly. Incentives. What incentives do the participants have to behave in a way that supports the desired outcome, which is basically giving the reward or punishment, and how will you enforce this system? So all these are some of the important components of mechanism design. This is from the textbooks. Now someone who is from the Indic cultural side, who is not from the books, if we get outside of the book, the way we would understand mechanism design is to looking from the history. So we understand how the mechanism design is defined and explained in textbooks, but for understanding from the layman terms, for understanding from someone who would be away from the mechanism from the books, I have a simpler way of explaining it. from the point of view of history. Now, before there was anything exists, there was original inhabitants like natives, people and tribals, animals. They were living on Earth. They had forest or green patches, a lot of green patches. Then they come a designer who created a design without concerning anyone else. Now, this designer comes on the jungles. He comes to the jungle. He zoned the jungle into residential, agriculture, and commercial use. And the laws are designed, and institutions are set up for to serve the designer or the humans. You'll say there are roads, buildings, parks, all are permitted, and the institutions are built on the jungles. Rules for inhabitants created, all focusing on serving the system by tax and fines, penalties, and focus of the crowd. So there is a result. This all results into an ecosystem that serves the designer. So this is my individual experience while living in US, where I was seeing when I was driving on the road. I see a lot of dead animals, a lot of roads, and people are focusing on only on driving, making sure they are driving on the left side, right side, adhering to the laws. But when I see the dead animals, I question myself, what is going on? So now the consequences of all this design that is created for the original inhabitant is like no one cares what happened to the original or to them. There is a design that is created by the foreign invaders. That is what I observed in America. And the mechanism designer in itself is a powerful person or the group of person who basically created a design in which they thrive. The humans thrive, they make money, they focus on things. Now every day we see these dead animals on the road crushed under the vehicles. I personally feel bad being a Hindu. I feel for them. I was like how to help them, but I can't do much because we are all are bounded by the design. We have to go to the office. We have to take care of taxes. We cannot take a stop in the middle of the road. So breaking out of the design is costly in terms of time and money, and this has been created by design that we all are bounded by the design of the designer. And that is where the thought of understanding the mechanism design and giving it an Indic perspective comes to my mind, is like this is what exactly is happening to all of us. Now, where is this application of this mechanism design in real life when we study this concept? We use that mechanism design as a concept in designing auctions, designing markets, designing games, the video games that we all like to play. They are somewhere designed by someone to basically increase engagement, get clicks, get ads, so all that. The social choices, the policies that has been created, the whole bureaucracy, they all work towards creating our design to help the people that what they think. And but there is someone who's designer who's basically making people work for them. So mechanism design in itself can be helpful in identifying market opportunities and bring changes at high level, but it can also be used against nations, against institutions, against people. The example here I have is for story of Dr. Naveen Iyanan. In 1994, we know how he was the key person in making ISRO and bringing lots and lots of money to India through satellite business. However, in 1994, he was being targeted or been taken out in terms of like his professional work by engaging few corrupt people. And he was the money that was invested in taking him out would be around possibly 10 crore, 100 crore, not more. But the cost of him being absent from ISRO and not working on his on for India was to India and Indian people is around 30,000 crore. So you can imagine how impactful a mechanism design can be if you use it to identify the key drivers or key people and eliminate them, and then the whole system will keep on working, but not for themselves, but for the designer, for someone who had influenced it. So control over the narrative and controlling the information flow is the one way the mechanism designer or the people who understand the mechanism design can influence the outcome. Now, here we have one of the important quote by someone famous, not me. Ignoring the power structure of the enemy is how at best you lose, and at worst you support the power structure. So here we have some people who are enemy of humanity, who want us to lose, like indigenous people, who is like indigenous people in America has no power, institutional or any way. They may be given some money, they may be given some land, they may be given some like regulatory authorities, but they have zero power there. They cannot influence any of the things. They cannot provide good life as such in general to them. They don't have their own temples. So if you are as an indigenous person do not have your own temple, your own way of living, you have already lost it. You don't have any power. That means. So Native Americans people have no power. So that is the how at best you would be at best if you ignore the power structure of the enemy. This is the best you can outcome for you. You will lose your as a indigenous people without much of your institutions established, and you will be just be like living there for the life that is left for you. And at worst what will happen to you is like you will support the power structure. You will become a part of it. You will work towards for your enemy, and you will work against your own people. This is what is the outcome that we see in majority of the places where the native people have zero. Native people has already been like wiped out, or they are already been observed, or like observed by the bigger institutions or bigger their enemy, and they are working for their enemy. So in case of India, we have a plenty of examples here. We can go through that examples in later stages, but now let's understand the example of how the mechanism design has impacted us as individuals. Now here I have two graphs. These two graphs are basically showing the same thing, share of GDP in the world powers. If you Google for this is a research done by a European economist. His name is Angus Maddison. He was interested in understanding the world GDP share in the historically, and he based upon his research of historical evidence, he had come up with this share of different countries in the world GDP from 180 to 2016, which is like the 2000 years of economic history. When you Google, you simply just Google share of world GDP economic history, you are most likely to see a graph on the left than on the right. Now this is how the information has been manipulated specifically for the world and for the Indians, where the economic history is being just shown as very much US centric, where the blue part here is for the US, and it simply shows like a US has a bigger share on the left hand side graph. But if you look at the x-axis from 1 to 1990, it is the first 1500 years of history has been concentrated in the first 3 points, 1000 and 1500. This left hand side graph is basically the one which is manipulated, and if you look at the corrected graph on the right hand side where India and China is shown to be like the biggest players, that graph shows the on x-axis in the correct way with the equal level of intervals of 100 years each. And this manipulation in information is somewhere impact the confidence level and the psychological information of the people in the world, like different players who engage in their life regularly in making. The second example is of the wrong translation of Hakenkreuz, the Nazi symbol. Now, if you just open your Google and just look out for the German to English translation, you type Haken, which will be translated in a German word Haken will be translated in English as hooked. You type crores in German, it will be translated into a cross, as a cross in English. But when you combine these two words, Hakenkreuz, the Google will translate is at swastika or Nazi swastika. Now, swastika or Hindus has nothing to do with Germans as such. Now, but because of this mistranslation, how many Hindu lives are at risk as of today in US or in outside India? Now, this translation is cannot be said like, oh, someone has done a mistranslation. Like, how would you do a mistranslation of a word which is so simple? Hooked cross. It's a hooked cross that was used by Nazis. How can it be translated into swastika, which has nothing to do with Germans and all? So there is a deliberate mistranslation done by someone at in the history, and it's been perpetuated without a question, which has been kept on going without questioning by anyone else or without any scrutiny for so many years. As of today in US, Hindus are very much concerned about their safety if they put a swastika outside their home or on their car the way we do it in India. We cannot do that in US or outside India. So there is a deliberate impact, or there's a deliberate change that was done in the design of how the world works, how people engage, bringing in the misinformation related to Hindus, getting them associated with Nazis, and this is the deliberation of how the mechanism design and the changes impact us as individuals in the world. Now, Hindus are at the loss because they cannot use their religious symbol swastika, which is with them for over 10,000 years and more, publicly. And the people who are not Hindus, they have been misled in seeing the symbol of prosperity as something which is symbol of hate for Nazis, and they're gonna miss out on a lot of benefits that they can have by learning about Hindu lives. But there is a cost to everybody of spreading the misinformation. The next example I have is of a principle of prosperity. This is what I am calling it, a principle of prosperity, but this is from Janaka Niti, which is very simple. Dushasya dandam sujanasya pujam nyayen poshasya sarvardhanam cha. Now, it's a Janaka Niti thing, which is like punish the bad, worship the good, empower the justice system, all sections of society will prosper. Now, this is irrespective of religion, irrespective of system that you are living in. If you follow this, there is a prosperity to all sections of society. No class, no caste, nothing is there. We don't know, like majority of the Hindus are not aware of it. Why is that so? When we have so much dense information with us, why we are not being told about it? Why this has been not followed in the world as such? We know how the judiciary system has been corrupted, is not even giving justice in time. Cases are pending for over decades. There's a lag of lot of cases are there with not even been heard. Why the justice system is not working well, how as it's supposed to work. And this breakdown of justice system in India is costing a lot to the welfare of all or prosperity of all of the section. It's stopping all sections of society to move ahead. And this is how by design the people who doesn't want India to grow has created it. If you look at this principle, it's been followed very much nicely in the countries which are prosperous today, countries which are doing good today, America, Canada, US, like you could say, wherever you have this principle followed to the word, things gonna be a lot better for all sections of society. But if this principle is not followed in the places, be it Afghanistan, be it Kerala, be it like any places, all sections of society is going to see the loss. They are going to not see the prosperity, or going to see the opposite of prosperity. Simple things, but not been shared or told to the masses, to the individuals, so that they all suffer in terms of a lot of other things, like people will lose out on in terms of money, losing out on their childhood, the innocence, the wealth, the happiness that their families can have, the food that they can get. But a lot of hunger, a lot of other problems comes because of not following the simple principle of prosperity. A lot of people come and say, oh, well, we have been English speakers for long. In India, it is basically very fascinating among people to claim that they are English speakers. They know English like anything, and they are like very good. English is, but just ask them that, do they understand traditional knowledge bank? What is the meaning of traditional knowledge bank? Do you know what is traditional knowledge bank? No. So traditional knowledge bank is basically, it's like a accumulated information of accumulated knowledge that you have from your tradition and culture in your language over the time. And every culture, every society has this traditional knowledge bank. The society which is there for a longer period of time, it will have a lot more wealth or a lot more knowledge in its account than compared to the society which has been discontinued or which been taken away, or which has a lesser time amount of time or life. Like the Western culture that we see is today, they have already seen age of darkness. There's a lot of knowledge that has been dispersed. So most of the things that we see, the knowledge of Western side is maybe like 300, 400 years, not longer than that. But compare this to the Indic knowledge or Indic civilization, our traditional knowledge bank is at least 10,000 years old. Once you start knowing the meaning of it, you start understanding what is the value of Indic culture and civilization as such for you. The second word is Macaulayism. So Ayurveda, agriculture, they all are basically just the accumulation of knowledge about how to survive, how to do things better, what works for what kind of disease, what medicine will work. And that is what has been there, Ayurveda or agriculture, of how to do things for so many years. It's been there, and we have accumulated knowledge about how to do things in a better and more efficient ways, and passing on that information from one generation to other, imbibing that information into our culture, be it harvesting on time, playing holy on certain time of the year, doing certain kind of a culture activities like Deepavali, busting crackers on this is all related to the accumulation of knowledge that happened over the centuries, and they all get imbibed in our culture, in our language, in the way we do things in more indigenous work. So that is the most efficient way of doing things. Yeah, the Indian people have been living in India for over 80,000 years. So there was no iron invasion theory. There is a research paper by Dr. Lavanya Vemsani. She had basically, is historically they have found like a lot of skeletons from across the world, and they have done their DNA analysis, their genome studies, and all that hint towards stating towards this, that the people who live in India had been living here for more than 80,000 years. There was no invasion as such from outside. Majority of the people in India have been living in there for more than 80,000 years. Unlike the situation in Australia, America, a lot of these places had like a native population which has been wiped out, which we know how does it look. Mexico is the one good example where you see people who are natives, and there's a people who are coming out from Spanish people. They put their language there, and they have there's a lot of marriages that happen, and things have been going towards the right direction. The government is very cautious about the information, but the knowledge that was accumulated in their native languages, that has been wiped out. Now, if you ask a native Mexican about what language they speak, they are likelihood they are not speaking their native language, so they are losing out on a lot of information. So all this has an impact on the humans as such. But Ayurveda or agriculture or language that you have, the native language, they are the basically the culture, and these all are things are basically the banks. Basically, the accumulation of knowledge happens through these channels. Once you stop people from speaking their native language, once you stop people from following their native culture, you are basically taking out or wiping out their, like, or stopping them from taking benefit from their bank account. Basically, you are not letting them use the knowledge of which is accumulated to their ancestors, and by living at the continuous at one place for continuously for a long period of time, you are stopping them from using that knowledge. And if you stop them, you make them suffer, because that knowledge has made them wealthy, made them healthy over the centuries, and that is the reason they live there and happily and prosperously, because they were following the knowledge, or because they were acting on their knowledge. Once you stop making them use that knowledge, you can basically harming them and making them dependent on something which we don't know. So allopathy is one of the example where allopathy has that kind of like a problem, where basically if you stop people from following Ayurveda, you are making them dependent on allopathy medicines. People doesn't know allopathy much. They have to be dependent on the knowledge accumulated by the doctors, who will be forced to study in the non-native language. So you are disconnecting a person who wanted to serve the society through medicine from its own traditional knowledge bank, and you're forcing them to use the medicines or the research that was happen on some other places, the medicine developed in some other places for the diseases which happen in some other places, on the population which is in a different place, like native population. They may not be they will be more better treated with the medicine which are locally available to them, compared to the medicine which has been generated in some lab in outside places, where the examples or the diversity was of that native place was not presented well. So it opens up the whole questions about, if you understand the concept of traditional knowledge bank, you will start respecting the cultures which are, you start respecting the native culture, you start working towards the native, protecting the native languages, because culture, language, these all are the traditions of the native people. These are the basically the banks. These are the basically the places where the whole knowledge get accumulated. So by saying that, I am making sure that as an audience you understand that the native culture of the place is something which is need to be revered, need to be respected, need to be preserved for the betterment of the population of that place in future. So which includes like Naga tribes information, like traditions and cultures, the tribal culture, be it in Karnataka or be it in Tamil Nadu and all these places. Like, we are native people from India. We need to start respecting our own culture, which we are not doing it by following the invaders or foreign people's language and foreign people's ways of living. But this is one of the important word that is what is happening, and that is how we will be if we stay as Hindus. If we ignore the power structure of our enemy, that is the best outcome for us. It's like we will lose like our indigenous people, or at worst, which is happening to the majority of the Indian people, we will be basically becoming part of the our enemy's power structure and working towards our and of demising or destroying our own native information or native ancient knowledge bank. So any English speakers you meet, ask him, does he know about the traditional knowledge bank? Does he know this about this word? What he understands about it? Leave out any English speaker. Foreigners, Americans, or people who have been colonizer for most of their lives, do they understand the traditional knowledge bank? Like, I had that encounter with the missionary. He was like, in my office, she was like, "Oh, I'm going to Haiti for giving the spiritual bliss to the or spiritual awareness to the native people in Haiti." I understood she was a missionary. She was going to go for this spreading Christianity or things towards the native Haitian people. I asked her, like, does she understand the traditional knowledge bank concept? And she understood what I'm talking about. They will not like to talk to you about the things which is going to make an impact or which is going to help the humanity, because they have been assigned with the task of converting native people, destroying native knowledge, making native people dependent on the foreign information, and then through that they wanted to control their lives. So I see in India, there's a lot of temples who try to create hospitals for allopathy. They try to put up hospitals of dentistries, like already helping the foreign invaders impose their language, impose their system of medicine on the native people. Destruction, like you are doing your own destruction, like, or the temples are supposed to provide the place where the native knowledge bank or traditional knowledge bank is secured and preserved. We donate money to the temples, and what these temples will do, they basically use that money, invest it in the hospital of allopathy, invest it in the research for foreign invaders, do the work for the foreigners, and basically they do not invest in the traditional knowledge bank. They do not invest in the traditional knowledge like native Indian languages. They promote foreign languages, they promote foreign systems. So this is the example, which is like, at best Hindus will lose as a native Americans staying in their sanctuaries, not talking to the rest of the world, and at worst they are working for their enemy. Hindu temples as of today, be it Tirupati Balaji, be it the government of India, or be it any of it, if you are working for bringing allopathy into the lives of the Hindus, if you are working for bringing foreign language, a phonetically incorrect language, an inferior language to the world, like English, which is a language which is below scientific rigor, which is below any of the native Indian languages, you are basically doing a disservice to your own community. You are working for the enemy who wanted to destroy you. That is the traditional knowledge bank. The word, the power of understanding this word is this, that you realize that you are working for against your own people. You are helping in destroying the traditional knowledge of your own community by following the dictates or following the system which has been put together by your enemy. So this is the importance of this word. The second word is Macaulayism. Now, do you understand? Do you know Macaulayism? If you are an English speaker, if you are someone who is educated in a schooling system which has been imposed by Macaulay, and if you understand this word, this will help you get rid of what Macaulay wanted to achieve by the design of schooling that he has created. The Macaulayism is basically a concept which says, like, the invaders put up a schooling system to destroy or to disconnect the native people from its own culture or from its own traditional knowledge bank. If you ask, if you are an English speaker and you understand this word, you understand what is the damage that your education system has done to you and how you are harming your own people or your own self. And these are the two words that are needed towards taking you towards decolonization. Decolonization has been very prevalent word as of now. A lot of people know what is decolonization. But to do the decolonization, you need to understand these two words. That is the only way towards the getting truly decolonized. You are not decolonized if you are working towards destroying your own traditional knowledge bank. You are not decolonized if you are using an inferior language, and a language which is inferior to your own native language, which is going to harm you and your kids because you are giving them a phonetically incorrect language. The impact of phonetically incorrect language on masses is not been studied yet. It will never be studied by the foreign invaders who wanted to impose English on you. It should need to be studied by someone who is not a invader, who has the genuine research concern. We know Italian and a lot of Indian languages, a majority or all of the Indian native languages like Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Hindi, Bengali, Punjabi, all of them are phonetically correct. Italian is phonetically correct. The mathematical aptitude of kids whose native language are phonetically correct is higher than the mathematical aptitude of the kids whose native language is English. Now, this is something like a proposition. This is a claim. A research need to be done to verify whether this claim is true or not. But given the data points that we have, this is what it looks like. And clearly, like no matter whether the mathematical aptitude is higher or not, English is a phonetically incorrect language. It is a inferior language to any of the native Indian languages. If you are using English in your work, in your life, and you're teaching English to your kids, you are doing a disservice to your own community or your own people or your own self. You are giving the worst product to your kids. Imagine it like you have a desi ghee, like a purified milk, and you have like a water or the spit or the what is called like vomit in the other glass. So what glass you wanted to give to your kid? A milk or a vomit? Vomit is gonna bring a lot of diseases to your kid. Milk is gonna nourish it, make it better. By feeding English in your own life, by feeding English to your own people, or imposing English on the native people, you are basically giving a glass of vomit to your own kid. Understand? This is what I call like ignoring the power structure of your enemy is at best you lose like indigenous people, and at worst you will become part of your enemy's power structure. And this is not only for Hindus, this is for all the people. This is like the exploitation doesn't happen only for the people who are not English speaker. The person who is born into the system where the English is the mother tongue, there is a reason America doesn't have a official language. In America, American founders, the founding fathers, they may have understood the shortfall or the limitation of our English language. They understood that it's phonetically incorrect. That's why there is no national language in America. In America, they are language neutral. If they are Spanish, there's English. They will work with you in Hindi also. If you go, and they will work you in French and Spanish or Italian also. They knew that English is not supposed to survive for long because it is phonetically incorrect language. So person who is born into an English speaking language or an English speaking country, they're already losing out on being better on mathematics. They are already losing out in their confidence. They are already gullible because anyone can come on to them and tell like, okay, your pronunciation is wrong. I can go and tell everybody, it's like, okay, my name is spelled as Tiok, but it is going to be pronounced as Tem. There is no M in it, but I tell them this is the pronunciation. And anytime I write my word and someone comes and try to call me from the words that I have put together, like Tiok, and I tell him, okay, no, this is not Tiok, this is Tem. They have to other to me. That is English. How the pronunciation is of a word should be done, there is no rule about that. The people in yeah, so people in Australia pronounce the same word differently than the people in UK and the people in there is no rule based. This is phonetically incorrect language which can impose the individual's way of speaking on them, on anyone, and make them subversive or make them unconfident or feel inferior to the person who have devised the word. And you cannot do it. You go to the store, which is ULTA, any phonetically correct person will pronounce it at Ulta because it is ULTA, but this is called Alta. Now, as a phonetically correct person, I'm going to ask them, if you wanted to call something Alta, it should start with O. OLTA, I was like Alta, okay, I can live with it. Why you are starting the word with U if it is Alta, if you wanted to pronounce it as Alta, but being in English speaking country, you cannot question that.
Serve any purpose when
It serves a purpose. It's a no, but I'm trying to explain you the consequences of English speaking to a native English speaker in his life. Someone who is a native English speaker who doesn't know what would be the pronunciation of a certain word until someone tells them, or the person who have been introducing them tells them, is the way to break down their confidence. As an English speaker, like I'm an English speaker, I know English, I've been speaking English. I go to the store which is spelled as ULTA. I go inside, I tell them, hey, you have a nice band. It's Ulta is good. I wanted to buy something. And the first thing that the salesperson will do is like, sir, this is not Ulta, this is Alta. You don't know the pronunciation. So that is the first way of breaking down the confidence of your consumer. You are trying to sell a product to a person at a higher price, which is already you are doing a disservice to the society. Now, anyone who enters into that store is already been someone who is low on confidence, not very high on confidence, who wanted to buy some big thing for their boosting up their confidence. And once you enter there, the first thing that you will encounter is the pronunciation. Is like, oh man, this person is coming from somewhere down the class, who doesn't know who had no class, who doesn't know the right pronunciation.
caste system,
It's a kind of caste system, which is basically based on the way you pronounce the first time, you will be identified as someone who's like outside. And then based upon that, that is the way you wanted to become. So you are more likely to make a purchase from a store where your confidence has been shattered than from the place where your confidence has been built up. So this is also a behavioral economics where you can do the study. Now, is there a study done already or not? I don't know, because it's a part of a researcher. It is a task for the researcher who understand the difference between phonetically correct and phonetically incorrect language. Now, if they impose a language which is being phonetically incorrect, they can destroy the confidence of a person or of a native speaker. Now, this is Ulta and Alta is just an example of how the confidence is being destroyed of a consumer and make him feel inferior. Now, to compensate that inferiority complex, a consumer is likely to make a bigger purchase to show that, oh yeah, I have money, I can compensate for this. So we have seen that in US, India also. In India, a lot of people go to the market to purchase. They go to the native language market, they will start negotiating, they will do all kind of thing. But if they go to the Prada or whatever the big brands names here, they will not do the bargaining, they will basically overcompensate, they will give tips to show that they have money. So this is the psychological game that is played at the shop, based with the native or non-native, this the cost that a native English speaker have to pay to basically compensate his ignorance about the words in the class. And the phonetically incorrect language is the one way of enslaving the masses into slavery. Like you're pushing the masses towards the slavery by creating your own word and their own vocabulary. Like you cannot do this in Hindi. Like Hindi, I cannot imagine someone writing misspelling a word. So you basically are already get into a compliant when you are working with the native like phonetically incorrect language, because you will never be able to decide how to pronounce a word. Someone else have to come and tell you the right pronunciation, and if you don't remember the right pronunciation, you will always be identified or discriminated against in different settings. Farsi language and yeah, so this is the way basically the decolonization, like you need to understand these words to basically go towards to decolonization. I have talked to so many people who claim they are working for decolonization. I give you the example of temples. Temples are working against us. Temples are working against themselves. So if you don't promote the native culture, if you don't promote the people who comes to the temple will eventually will have no visitors. They complain they don't have people who come for to temples because you are not promoting the native culture. You are promoting the foreign culture, you are promoting the foreign medicine, you are promoting the foreign language. You will not have any people. So at best, the path that I see for our Hindu civilization or Indic civilization is like it's gonna be something like the Native Americans, Majority of us will be working for the foreign invaders who wanted to destroy us and who wanted to enslave us. The problem is not like, okay, there are people who wanted to come and have a control over wealth as such. They wanted to control your life. They wanted to control you.
All about subconscious.
And they wanted you to engage in something which is superficial so they can work towards their own goals without you questioning them. Okay. Now we have understood what are the keywords that a lot of English speakers in India doesn't know about, which because they don't know about, because they will be decolonized if they start understanding it, and in truly sense they will be decolonized if they really understand what is the fight and where we are lacking. Now in all this mechanism design, what is the one of the important thing is the fake news, or the news which is been provided to the people and use. So how does the fake news impact us, which is very simple. How does it work? What exactly it is? Like, all the decisions that we make are based on what we hear, watch and experience from about the outside world, and then there's also some personal experiences that we have, our own intuition that will help us make decisions. Now based on my decisions, we basically act on them. Their actions, then the actions has the consequences for me and the world. And I have already a couple of like videos where I was talking about this particular like actions, consequences, and how these consequences impact the world and me. Where I'm giving you example of, in Bengal we have Bengal tiger, which is a man-eater. Now if there is some animal lover who will write an article saying Bengal tigers are beautiful, they are very friendly, they are very nice, what will happen is, like, anyone who is reading the news only and not understanding the world would be, if he would be traveling back in Sundarbans, he's likely to get stuck. If by chance if he gets stuck there, he would be like, okay, let me go and look out for the animal Bengal tiger because they are friendly, they are nice. The end result is he will be eaten alive by the Bengal tiger. So this is just an example.
Best example would be street dogs nowadays. There are many
That
incidents
is-
happening due to the
Yeah, that is also there.
there.
So there are consequences for the actions. The actions we take is based on what we decide about what to do. Like with our time, with our money, if we get stuck somewhere, if like this example of Bengal tiger was like, you are traveling in the jungle, Sundarbans, and you get stuck. And because you have time and you know, like, Bengal tigers are beautiful and they are nice, and there's an article written by the animal lover who says like they are nice, so it's like, yeah, let me just go and try to look out for the Bengal tigers, but we know the end result. So that is the consequences of the decisions and actions and how this impacts the world and you. Now this is the reason there's trillions of dollars are spent on controlling the media, advertisement and the platforms. Media is because they give you the information, what news, what's happening, who get killed by whom, love jihad, victims, why they are killed, what they are killed, the perspective, the narrative, the media, the advertisements give you the small. So if you see advertisement where a Bengal tiger is sitting next to a baby playing together, so that is the advertisement. They like you have that information in back of your mind that the Bengal tigers are very much friendly towards babies, because you have seen in some advertisement. The advertisement may not be for the Bengal tiger, it may not be for the babies, but maybe for the something else. Now they want to sell something, but they are giving you the wrong information. They can give you the wrong information through the advertisement. The platforms platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they all are immensely valuable because they control the flow of information. What news comes to you? If if a researcher in a vaccine side, we have seen during COVID, if they are saying something based upon their research which is not aligned with what the owner or what the designers or what the people who want to control your lives wanted you to see, they can ask Twitter to ban that person. We have seen how they banned Donald Trump. We have seen how they basically control the information to individuals. So right now the algorithms, the platforms, they command a lot of value because of this only thing, because they can control your decision making process. So this is a code which is like, if you can control the eyes, nose and ears of a person, you can make him eat shit. And This is, we can see that you want to test it home, you can test it at home. Bring a guest, control all his senses, serve him shit, see him eating it. As simple as this. But the thing is that once you put it in his mouth, he know what he's eating, even if you have control his ears and eyes and nose. So this is where we are. We are basically being fed misinformation, and majority of the time I see people eating shit, and that is why I'm concerned. I don't want my people to eat shit. I don't want to eat shit, and that's why I try to stay awake, stay aware about what's going on, what I'm seeing, what is behind, aligning my observation, my perspective with what is the right thing, and I will tell you about how to identify the fake news. This is again a strong institutional knowledge, strong traditional knowledge bank. You need to divulge into it to understand what is the ways. Now, some of the examples about the fake news, how does they impact us? This is one of the example about making a jokes or creating cartoons. Here we have a great moments in pagan history. In 1307, invents the hot tub. Now, Hindus, as these Jains, Buddhists, anyone who's like basically worship nature is pagan. Now, how many of you know witchcraft? How many of you know take the bath like this, hot tub? So these are all our jokes, which are said to be not harmful, but they are leaving the impression in the mind of the reader, which will eventually create the perceptions, and that's basically how they make a decision. So this is another example of, I'll explain Hinduism. But first, let me get high. I don't know how many Hindu sadhus, as an individual we know who smoke. I don't know much. I don't know any actually. So it's basically stereotyping thing. Even Aghoi sadhus, I have not seen them getting high or anything, talking like anything like that. The thing is that they're stereotyping. They are using memes. They are using like lies to basically.
Like they are still doing it like that character Appu in.
Yeah. So that is all. That is all like kind of a design, which is like, okay, we wanted to show this character as that, this character as that. The whole is to basically control the minds and perceptions that you have for the world around you, and then use that to basically manipulate your actions, your decisions. So this is the way basically pushing people or pushing American people away from Hinduism. And this is relaxed. Jokes are not harmful, really. You see this joke on Hindu gods, where you see the face, specifically if you look at the face of the girl. In the first part she was saying like, oh my god, and this Hindu guy says, oh, in it, oh my gods, and then the face of this girl shows how she sees Hindu. And this behavior, what you see, or his impression, is what been imbibed into the minds of the people who basically think like this is a way of seeing a Hindu. So even in this cartoon, they are not supposed to show it like there's no joke in it. I don't see any, but this is how they basically try to create a perspective, a false perspective, a fake news in the minds of the readers. And how does this all harm us? Because now, because of these kind of bad jokes, the perspective of a lot of non-Hindus or Americans, if this is in America or UK, it is going to be negative for Hindus, even without they getting to know you through your actions or through your donations that you do, the charity that you do, the nice things that you do, or your excellence. It's hard, but it takes a lot of effort for Hindus to show the true side of Hinduism to the non-Hindus because of this misinformation. Now, the impact of this kind of Saturn, like you feel ashamed to be a Hindu or pagan. If you see this, you're like, oh man, I should not say that. I should not show my identity as a Hindu in any of the public place. Now, coming to the news, now there's an impact of fake news. This one we all know. This is from famous attack on Saddam Hussein. There was a fake news spread like there was a WMDs. And because of this fake news, we have seen over 500,000 lives lost. The terrorist organization like ISIS is revived. So there is definitely a cost to society of fake news. If we let the fake news parts, it's gonna have a lot of negative impact. Now, coming to the next example, there is an article from 2017, Catholic Church apology for its role in Rwanda Genocide. Now, Indians know about lot of historical world history kind of thing. There is a genocide that happened in 1994 in Rwanda. Now there is an apology that we have seen in 2017 from Catholic Church. First option is this news true? I did it, so I put that together. I know this news is true. It came to me, and this all information about Rwanda genocide, the role of church came to me, my awareness when I was doing my own research. And if this is true, why we don't know about it? There's again a design. There's a people who control the platform. They don't want average Hindu or average Indian or average like person in the world to know about the role of Catholic Church in the Rwanda genocide. 8,800,000 people died in this genocide. That is the reason it's called Rwanda genocide. It is one of the biggest killing of native people of Rwanda that we have seen. I think this is giving you the flavor of what is the fake news, how does it impact, how is the information has been controlled, the power of platforms and all of that. Even now in India, if you Google for this news, you will not find it. I find it in US. I did the Google, the Microsoft, all these Facebooks, a big control. So what you are doing, what you exist, what you are as a human being, you need to question it every day based upon what you're seeing. So this is an example from Modi's 15 lakhs. We know how in our front of our eyes how they manipulated this comment from Modi about 15 lakhs. It's like every people will get 15 lakhs if black money is bought back. What they said is like PM Modi giving 15 lakhs in every poor Indian from the black money after 2016. So all we know how they are manipulated the things just to see. Now, how to identify the fake news? This is from Bhagavad Gita. असत्य की कोई सत्ता नहीं होती और सत्य का अभाव नहीं होता. तत्वज्ञानी इस रहस्य को समझते हैं. So truth has no dearth of itself, lies has no base to stand on. So this is how the people will understand the material world, and understand the difference between the truth and the lie. So if you have this kind of a traditional knowledge with you, you can actually get out of the mess or the Maya Jal or the fake world that has been created. Now, how many of us spend time on meditating on truth, identifying what is right, what is not? There's certain thing which is in front of us, like English is phonetically incorrect language that we all knows, but still we strive to force our kids towards learning a phonetically incorrect language over learning a phonetically correct language, like a native Indian languages. Native Indian languages are very, very strong in phonetics as such. So now, summary of the learnings on machine learning, mechanism design. In mechanism design, we are interested in following what is the reality. Are the fake news being used to distort decision making of players for evil goals? That is what we were basically wanted to understand. Who are the players? Are they going to worse off or get exploited? If the answer to the first question, if the fake news is there for the evil goals, there is likelihood that your actions are going to make you worse off and get you exploited. And what are the outcome of the designers? So what is designer achieving by doing this? Is it evil motives like enslavement, exploitation of kids, or just a full total control, or is just like making some profits? So that is what we would like to understand from the mechanism design point of view. And then the simple question is how to safeguard ourselves. That's like, how would we be saved away from these things? So based upon these learnings on machine design and like mechanism design and understanding how the fake news has impacted us, we have some examples from real life where we see how things are being presented to us about the world, and how we see what's happening to the, if we can find the safeguard, that would be great, but if we not, then what would be the consequences. So these are some of the realities that we ignore, that Urdu is recognized as a language when Hindi written in Persian with few Arabic words can't be a new language. So if you write Hindi in English script with few English words in it, it will not become a new language. So stop fooling us around. You have already fooled our world on Urdu. Urdu is not a language, it's Hindi written in Persian Arabic script with few Persian Arabic words. Stop calling it a language. Any value that we give to Urdu as a language is a dishonesty that we are doing towards our own self, towards the logic, the mathematics, the basic things. Stop recognizing Urdu as a language. That should be the first step for any individual, for any institutional, for any person who wanted to be on the side of the facts or the truth. This is the reality. English is phonetically incorrect language. It's an inferior to most of the Indian languages which are phonetically correct. Stop imposing English on any human being. Even in US or UK, Canada, any place you go, promote the phonetically correct language. Be it a native native language of that world. If they don't have a native language, if like in US they don't have any phonetically correct language, if Spanish is not phonetically correct, English we know is not a phonetically correct language, promote Hindi, promote Sanskrit, promote native phonetically correct language, so to help the masses to get back to their senses, to help the masses to get them empowered towards making better decision in their life. For their sake, we need to promote phonetically correct language and totally stop imposing English on ourselves, on our lives, or on our friends or relatives. Now, there is no study on the impact of phonetically incorrect language on the masses. We know the math scores for the students who have English or who have phonetically incorrect language as their first language is poor than the students who have phonetically whose native language is phonetically correct, like Indians and Italians. Their mathematical aptitude is higher than Americans. So this is just an observation here. Whether this is true or false, there can be a study done on it in a large number of students. We can always do that study, but again, English people will not be like the people who are designer who wanted their supremacy in the world will not let you go towards that kind of study, and they don't want it to publish or promote that kind of findings. But this is just an observation. Phonetically incorrect language is always inferior to a phonetically correct language, so there's no doubt in that. Should we keep contributing towards the knowledge bank of our invaders or the foreign invaders who will restrict our ability to think, who will try to manipulate us, who will try to control us? That is a question open to all of us. I prefer not to write papers in English. Hindi, there's a lot of things that need to be done on the native Indian languages. Yeah, I would like the government of India to promote native Indian languages, all of them, and abolish English as soon as they can get. That is the way forward for India or Bharat to be back on their feet. English, with this phonetically incorrect thing, it can use for some time to get connected to people outside the world, and as long as until they start using phonetically correct language, but stop imposing English on us. Now, here are some of the examples based on my personal experience and seeing the world around and understanding the mechanism design of different concepts. We have Amway, a multi-level marketing company. There is a design created to maximize sales of a firm through an alternative channel. They use the fake news to distort decision making of players and evil goals? According to me, yes, they do. They try to sell dreams that people can become millionaires, and while making people work for free for their company. The average products, the products are not like out of stone. They are sold at premium to the customers or to the members. Members are forced to lie. Members are forced to change their behavior towards their friends and family. They are forced to try to sell the different products to their family friends. They are deteriorating the relationships, and all they do is like all they do this only to get their sales numbers done. Now, who are the players? Who all are playing in this? Like all the ambitious people who could have done better for their society if the true information about Amway was given to them, but because the fake news is spread that this person is making millions and billions and all that, is a good salesman, etc., etc. That all is basically bringing lot and lot of ambitious or good people into spending time towards Amway. So Amway in itself is not good for the society. So what are the outcomes for the designer? He's getting more sales. He's not he's getting people to do the selling for them without getting them on the payroll, and that is what he's getting. His motives are not as evil, but his ways are, which is harming the society. Now, how to safeguard ourselves? So we understand the design, evaluate the benefit and the cost of your actions, and based upon that decide whether you wanted to do Amway or not. But in the end of the day, when you evaluate the benefits and the cost is basically you are a full-time salesperson for Amway who is trying to sell their inferior products at premium cost, and you are always being giving your like a hard time to your friends and family because you are always going to talk about Amway. So that the cost is high, benefit I don't see is high. So understand the design, evaluate the benefit and cost, and based on my understanding, Amway is a fraud that they're doing. Now, the other example about how to study the mechanism design is the Abrahamic lies, which is religion of West. Design is created again to maximize the control of few through the use of God. Now, are they using the fake news? Yes. The individual one-time experience, which could possibly be false, could be a question, be it a experience of Moses, be it experience of Jesus or Muhammad. It used to establish a fake reality for billions of people. They're like, oh no, the God is this who want you to do these things. Who said that? One person who claimed that he has an encounter with the God. That's fake news. No, that is not how things works. Like the God doesn't need one person to communicate to millions. The God is almighty, so God can easily communicate to billions of people at the same time, through the sun, through the moon, through so many things in nature. God already communicate to all the billions of people at the same time, or animals and everybody else, telling them this is the time to sleep, this is the time to wake up, this is the things you should eat, these are the things you should not eat. But who are the players in this whole business of religion? Is like gullible people who are looking for better purpose in life. And what are the outcomes for the designer? Designer can have a more control on the lives of people. They can exploit based on their food choices, beliefs, and then basically they exploit their kids also. They can engage their kids into sexual exploitation, human trafficking. They engage their kids into like using for like terrorist or terrorism, and also being they use their kids for like their whole life. They have to pay zakat or tithe, and they keep paying money to the church or the mosque, and that all that money is being used for making better life for the pastor, the Maulvis. They get free supply of sex and money. That is what the designer wanted, and because there's a lot of exploitation involved, this is not something which we wanted to. And now, how the players are motivated? They were being motivated. The gullible people were motivated by this lie that they're gonna get 72 virgins or a heaven after death. All that is all made of fake news. And the cost, you are giving your time, your money, your kids to the few of the people who control your lives on the name of religion or Abrahamic lie. how to safeguard yourself. You question the system, dismantle the terrorism on the name of religion, stop calling them religion. That is the one big favor that you can do.
So what should we call them?
They are not religions. They are just like a mafia. I like to call them mafia.
I like to call them religious cults.
They are not even cults.
These are actually not.
They exploit their own people. They exploit anyone. Even like Afghanistan, if you see a tribal who are living in Afghanistan, if he would be like Kalash, who was following the natural religion, they would not be exploiting their own people. But if you look at a tribal in Afghanistan who is following a cult or like Abrahamic lie, he end up exploiting their own people. Who's like, be it marrying their own kids, raping their own kids, be it sending their kids for terrorism and all that. So it's a calling it a cult is something which is like you can have that kind of like small group of understanding about the way you work. But again, this is something which is based on Abrahamic lie, where the one person is dictating how they should get, how their kids get married, who they can marry, who they cannot marry. All that is like all based on lie. And exploitation is happening of not only the people who are not the followers, but the people who are also the followers. So the Pakistanis or the Afghanistanis or the people who are Muslims as of now, their life get exploited like by these people. And similarly goes for the people in America who are Christian devout. We have like thousands and thousands of kids being exploited by the pastors, and all these kids were not like non-Christians, they were Christians. They exploit the kids of the people who trust them. So this is all like, and this is all based on the institution is based on the lie about the Abrahamic lie. And then you have United Nations, which recognizes as lie, which let them have something like some reputation which is related to a religion or a god. No man, that's a bullshit that has been kept out. So this is the shit. If they control your ears, eyes, and nose, they can make you eat shit. These are the shit that people have been fed every day and night. But that is what harms them also and others also. And that is where we have basically a problem where our ears and eyes are being controlled, so that we see the whole people who living in across different world as non-Hindus. No, there are a lot of people who are native, like Kalash. I am giving you an example. The tribals in Afghanistan who doesn't follow Islam to the word, they all are like humans, they are all are like Hindus. But that is where we basically, it's hard for us to dissect what is true, what is false. Oh, who is a Muslim, who is not a Muslim? We have Nehru, who is a Muslim. Indira Gandhi, all they were Muslims. But that is what that.
So quickly.
No, they don't spread. They spread the news. They spread that, oh, that everybody is converted. Half of them question themselves every day. But then there's a mechanism design that comes into the play, the fake news that comes into play, the control over the nose, ears, and eyes that comes into the play, the control that they have on the lives of a common human beings through the Maulvis and their terrorist groups. Like anyone who doesn't go for namaz is already been identified. Even in Pakistan, even if you go for the namaz or anything, the time you do certain things which is not acceptable to the Ummah or the Maulvis, they can identify you.
The doctrine, you can't also question in their religion.
You can't question, because that the moment you question, you will be identified. That is the design. The design in the Abrahamic lies is like, there is a design, they can identify people easily, whether he's a follower or not, whether he's a believer or not, whether he's getting awakened against the lies or not. And that is how in France they started, because they understand the design, then that's how they started all the liberalism. They also know.
Living in a house of cards.
Yeah, they know that they are living in the house of cards, and then the moment the average human being start questioning their lies, their whole things will be crumbled down. And that is how they basically try to balance out using leftist ideology, or no, this is left, this is right. There is no left and right. This is all humans. There are people who exploit them. And they give them half information, and they use half information or fake news they have felt, and that is how they basically work it out.
Like the Christians say original sin. So
And that is all bullshit.
Islamic religions are like the original fascism.
Original fascism, original fake news, or the initial fake news, the first fake news, which is longest running so far. We know that any human who can question can understand it. A lot of Americans, a lot of Muslims, they become ex-Muslims, they become atheists. They a lot of time people doesn't have time. Simple as this. People are busy, people are gullible, they are looking for the purpose in life. They don't have time to do the research, they don't have time to do the comparative analytics or analysis about which religion is better, what religion is saying what. They all been fed with the fake news, and then fake news basically helps them, okay, yeah, this is what it is, I need to pay the zakat each month and then move on. I'll get after death, I will get certain things after death, like,
am I interested? Who cares?
yeah.
What happened?
So that is where we have the Abrahamic lines and their mechanism design. So once you understand their design, you can understand where to manipulate and where to get them fixed. And this is where a lot of countries, a lot of big people, a lot of wealthy people who understand the religion as a design, and they understand what is it. They understand it. They don't get into it. They don't want it to attack it. They don't want it to expose it, because they know if they are on the side where they are exposing it, they will be eliminated. For elimination, what they need, just one fatwa or one call from the church that this is extra.
Hard life or even death.
Yeah. You are basically, if you get exposed them, they know that you are a threat to them, they will eliminate you. As simple as this. The Galileo was exposing, or not exposing, he was just telling, okay, this is sun, this is earth, this is how the earth revolves around sun, but that goes against the Bible. The church was like, okay, yeah, he's the enemy, he's saying something which is gonna go against the Bible, eliminate him, he's eliminated. So the whole purpose of understanding the mechanism design and understanding why we don't want it to come in front and show this to the public in general is because if you show it, your enemy will know that you have the ability to destroy them. And if they wanted to win, your enemy will eliminate you before you win. If you really, like, in this war, if you really wanted to win, you need to be invisible. You need to be not in front of the enemy, not getting his attention, and doing things which will dismantle everything like this. And that there's a steps to do that. One, I told you about the Urdu, I told you about English. These are steps. This will basically disarms the enemy like anything. We don't talk about it. We don't thought about it. So we have big tech. Now they control everything. They are control freak. A design is created to maximize the control of few through use of pictures and videos. Now, are the fake news being used to distort the decision making of our players for evil goals? Yes. The individual perceptions are created for big tech users to influence their actions. Again, what is harming us as a human? Why I'm saying a big tech is basically harming us? Because if big tech tries to take away an Indian or a Hindu and cut out from his roots, which is like Ayurveda, Dharma, culture, tradition, festivals, they are basically harming the person. Again, there is a people who are gullible looking for entertainment. They are the one who become victim of the fake news. The outcome for the designer is again more control on the lives of people. Exploitation again in the choice of food habits, beliefs, the way people to right now, big tech has more control over the people's life than Maulvis and because they can manipulate all these things.
Have control over free will.
Yeah. So how to safeguard ourselves is again caution what you see, realign your perception with reality of your nature, and then respect and follow your traditional knowledge bank. Keep that in your control and work towards empowering the traditional knowledge bank. Now, this is again, if we know there is a designer, if we know there is an enemy of humanity, and who want us to basically want to win and want to control everything. Now, how to ensure that we win over the opponent? It's like we need to understand their power structure. Their power structure is phonetically incorrect languages. Fiat money, IMF, World Bank, United Nations, any institution that recognize the enemy or the organization which is working against humans as any legitimate or godly or religion, they are the part of the power structure. They need to be like corrected or identified or make sure they don't do that. Media and academia, if they are not going to talk about the fallacies or the lies, if they don't catch the Abrahamic lie, if they don't catch the questions the all fake news, exposes the fake news, or instead of exposing the fake news, if they try to push for the fake news, they are the part of the power structure, and that is how they are winning. Allopathy, the modern science, that is a part of the power structure. So you fell ill, you go to the allopathy doctor. It's easy for a church to call a doctor and get the person, get rid of it. We have the IDIF, India's Development and Relief Fund organization. His founder was working for over 30 years to helping the society, India, raise funds from US and other places from Indians for development of India. So that guy, he's very senior to us. In 2010, he had a contract eye surgery, which is very easy to done, but the doctor had messed up and he lost whole 100% eyesight. He's working without eyesight for last 10 years. Hope God give him long life. But he, being a good Hindu, didn't question it. He didn't. But this could be by design. This could be, okay, a doctor got a call. A doctor knew what this person was doing, how important he is for the Indian civilization. They just make him blind 100%. So modern science, we have to be careful. We need to have hospitals which is owned and operated by the people who are not a puppet of the outside. It's hard to find. The temples are supposed to provide that information. The Sai Sevadham, Sai Ashram, and the Venkateshwara temple. But our temples, our people are already been controlled of our enemy. So this is where we are lacking the power structure. Now, big tech, Facebook, YouTube, government of the countries. So a lot of government countries, they recognize. So you would be surprised, like a lot of European countries do not recognize Hinduism as a religion. And while we provide to give the fake news, Abrahamic lies as a stature of a religion, but they don't give us a natural or Hinduism as a status of religion. So governments are also complicit. Because of the fake news, because they don't know the difference, maybe because of that. So these are the power structure, and the first step towards winning the opponent is to understand the mechanism design, understand what's going on. Now, these are some of the things that we can do. We have to identify our own power structure, and we have to empower it to defeat our enemy. That helps you in your fight. So we have a power structure like traditional knowledge, yoga, Ayurveda, traditional sciences, Vedas. If we have the truth on our side, even a single light can defeat the room full of darkness. So this is what we have in our side: the Gurukul tradition, the temples as a center of social, economic, and political power. Phonetically correct language. We have Sanskrit as a language, which is like powerful, and this is the time where we have a government, the central government, which is little bit of away from the influence of the foreign powers. This is the time when the Sanskrit can be revived. So these are our power structures. So if we empower them, if we spend more time on this, we can make life better for everybody. Now, we are in a situation, we have a very strong enemy, because why it is strong? Because it controls a lot of minds, a lot of brains, and it's all powerful. It can take out any one of us anytime. Like it just need like maybe a couple of lakhs right now for any individual to pay to the policeman and get any one of us arrested for 3 or 4 days, beaten to hell like anything. So there is a very easy way of getting people taken out. So your best weapon right now is deception or staying invisible. You have been asking why I don't want you to put my name into it, or why I want you to think about it, because that is the power. My best weapon right now is to staying invisible.
First of all, that's isn't it a law and order problem?
Sure.
Strong law.
But it's a dushasya dandam sujnasya pujam nyayan poshasya sayavadanam cha. So if you follow that, then it will. But your institutions are already compromised. They are not doing it. I'll be more like presenting these things, staying in US, I'll be more secure.
Actually exploiting this.
They are exploiting this. They are not following it, and they are exploiting it. So if you are in some country where the law and order has been properly done, you are more stronger, or like more safer by speaking on all these things than you would be in India or any place where they are not following it, where their system is already broken. So that's where we are. We have to break the power structure, phonetically incorrect language. Stick to phonetically correct languages, ridicule the phonetically incorrect. We have to ridicule it. What is it? It is supposed to be get ridiculed. English, anyone who is speaking English need to be ridiculed, calling it's a phonetically incorrect language. You are using it, we are using it just for the sake of, for the time being, but don't think that you are better off than anyone else. Fiat money, United Nations, World Bank, all stupid. Make yourself stronger, your economy stronger. Your media, academia, they have already sold out. Academia, as I said, given you the example, they will never want you to do certain things which will dismantle them.
Maybe the strong based area.
Yeah, media and academia. So empower the traditional education system. Get away with the allopathy. Focus on what works for good health. So instead of going for allopathy, go for like medicines which works for good health, without creating any dependency. Naturopathy, Ayurveda should given more importance than allopathy in any of the hospitals. It's like, okay, try to give the best medicine to the person who needs or patient. It should be initially naturopathy, allopathy, or Ayurveda, and then if nothing is working, if there's really certain things that is not there, then maybe use some medicine for allopathy, but don't make it a primary focus. Government of countries, meritocracy in all spheres of life, media, government policy, that should be the focus. Meritocracy. This BJP has been doing it. They are looking at meritocracies. Best of the leaders comes up to become a leader, unlike Congress or any of the others. We know all of them are like just putting up their kid, making better future for their kids, not thinking about better future for your kids. They're thinking better future for their own kids. So they are gonna make bad decisions. So for the government of the countries, check it out. Work with the countries who respect meritocracy, who works on that level. And big tech. Technology in itself is neutral. You are supposed to learn how to use it for your better work. We are already trying to use technology to spread out the good messages about the world. The Sangam talks is one part of it, where they are using the technology to spread good words. But again, we need to get more empowered. We need to have our own platforms. We need to understand how the technology works. Learn from China. See how they control the platforms. So the more neutral platform we make, the better chances of us winning that comes in. Now, this not all places are same. Enemy is powerful at some places and weaker in many. Design your strategy as per the location. So if you're designing a strategy to win, just design as per the location. In enemy land, stay invisible. That is your best thing. So Pakistani Hindus, when I talk to them, I tell them, okay, the best thing that you can do is like staying invisible. Don't show up to them. Don't show that you exist in Pakistan. Because if you show you that you exist, they will come after your life. In other places, keep the pressure up to save fellow beings in other places. In India, you can always start talking about Pakistani Hindus or Bangladeshi Hindus and natives in Native Americans in the US, tribals in Mexico, all these places. All these are people who are with you. So who all have the common enemy, who all are fighting the fight. So we are in fact in majority. They say they are in billion, 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion. In reality, they are just few 100,000 or maybe one couple of millions, not more than that. But this is how they are controlling everything, by controlling the information flow. Speak truth, refute fake news, recognize Urdu as a language and Mafia as a religion. So these are the things that you can do. Empower good, punish criminals. Anyone who's like criminal, who is doing repeated rape or murder or these kind of things, eliminate him. Just get capital punishment. Simple. The more aggressively you do, the better it is for you. If you do that, this will make it hard for your enemy to find henchmen so they can not hurt you. So the way they work is like they all get nourish all the criminals, and then they use these criminals against people who are like all the Maulvis. They basically do all kind of bad things to the kids, and they basically have their own, like if anybody goes against them, against the Maulvis, they have their own followers to issue fatwa and all that thing. This is all bad, we know, like killing people, innocents, killing innocents, raping or exploiting kids for their sexual pleasure. This is all bad. So these are like criminals. Once you start eliminating them, then the enemy will have tough time in finding their henchmen. So if they don't find their henchmen, they will not be able to harm you. So these are the methods that you can do without coming in open, talking about that you understand the design. If you just follow these all things, you start winning. You know you are winning the thing. Be a mechanism designer, understand the design and make a decision. So understanding the design is important. Not everybody do that.
There will be some backlashes.
Sorry?
At every step of doing this.
So that will happen because the other side doesn't want you to win. So if you wanted to win, you have to basically stay invisible. That's most important. Then do these things, understand what your other side is doing, try to understand how they are doing it, and then you start eliminating. So basically, that is what there is a technology which is neutral. You can use it for your own benefit. The Paytm, the payment systems that is created, that is the use of technology created to basically make your life about transactions and all that language neutral. You make it language neutral, anybody can use it. You can have a control over the world in terms of at least observing their payment systems, how it's working, and it's language neutral, so everybody can use it. So use the technology which has been like neutral, making it better, use for the humanity as such, but getting rid of the control of the like big tech and other like foreign invaders, that is going to help you win the war. And like, so the last is like this is the concluding slide where I'm saying like this is a Balkavi Vairagi thing, poem. है करोड़ों सूर्य लेकिन सूर्य है बस नाम के, जो ना दे हमको उजाला वह भला किस काम के, रात भर जलता है उस दीप को दीजिए दुआ, सूर्य से वह श्रेष्ठ है सूक्ष्म है तो क्या हुआ, वक्त आने पर मिला ले हाथ जो अंधियार से, संबंध उनका कुछ नहीं है सूर्य के परिवार से. It's like there are so many people who are working like, who are shining like a sun. There's this Sundar Pichai, there's the CEO of Sundar Nadella or Satyam Nadella, or so many big stars there. How many of them are working towards brightening the life and the future of your life, like your individual life? They are not. They are maybe stars across in US and other places, but they are not empowering or helping a life in a village in India. You as an individual, you could be a star in your corporate life. You could be a big shot in your company who is working for the enemy, using phonetically incorrect language, imposing all the bad design on the people, but you're not working for your own people. So what is you're not helping them, you're not making them brighten up their life. So anyone, even a small person like Sangam Talks or any small thing, small organization who is working in empowering the lives of the poor or the people or the natives who understand the native design, who is empowering the Indic culture, that is better, a lot better than a Google or the Facebook or Microsoft, who are maybe big but they're not doing anything for the human. So as an average Hindu or average, we need to start understanding what is that which is empowering us, then what is. And we have so many people who are getting studied in English medium, who are just working for, LinkedIn is full of people who wanted to be a CEO or wanted to do better in life. But what you end up being, you are just being a slave to your enemy who is working against your own people. So you are compromising your values, your things, just to be in a better place for some time, and you don't have anything to do with the light. That सूर्य के आपका कोई संबंध नहीं है सूर्य के परिवार से, अगर आप हाथ मिला जाए तो. So yeah, there's some readings. Professor C.K. Raju, English medium myth, Science of Tradition. So many great scholars who have worked over different topics, written different articles and some videos. Vishuddhi Films, Tales of Two Calendar, Chanakya, All that is helping somewhere for you to understand that there is a bigger reality. There is a traditional knowledge bank which is far far superior to what we have right now. So you get time, you can work. So this is all I have for the presentation.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, sir.
Thank you.